Two times. Tap in the highlight target one time, man. You know much about nothing, man. But did right? We was having this conversation yesterday, man. Somehow we got on the topic of stepdads, man. And I was just saying, man, like to be a stepdad, man, you about crazy as hell, right? And I know some people that came out and they spoke against being stepdads and all that shit, right? But you know, they were speaking hypothetical, man. I'm gonna give it to you from straight experience, right? One of being a stepchild, right? Because I had a stepdad, and two, right, when I almost became a stepdaddy. You know what I'm saying? Almost. I was close, man. You know what I'm saying? I was close, man. You know what I mean? But something happened, and you know what I mean? I was enlightened. I was like, oh shit, what am I doing, man? Let me knock this nonsense off, right? Um, so Dig, I get experience when I almost became a stepdad, right? So you know, I'm dealing with this chick, right? And you know, she got a kid, right? He's the only child, you know what I mean? For the most part, a cool kid, you know what I'm saying? But long story short, right? At some point she started bringing the kid around, and my kids was living with me, right? Um, and so she would bring the kid around, they be chilling, whatever, right? So it was just this one time that they all up in a room, and he up on the top bunk and he jumping on the bed, right? And I hear the bed rocking and bumping. And I'm like, hey, man, knock that off, right? You're like, all right, you know, I come in the room, they all sit down, be quiet, right? So, boom, I leave out, they get to doing it again. Hey, man, knock it off, man. You know, if you keep doing that, man, I'm gonna bring you up out of there, right? And, you know, so she got on it like, oh, well, why he got to come out for jumping on the bed? Because I told him, don't jump on the bed. That's why. Well, so everybody else get to stand there together and he got to come out and be by himself. I'm like, well, he the only one that's jumping on the bed. You know what I mean? So she like, well, that ain't fair. I'm like, I don't see how you don't see that ain't fair. You know what I'm saying? He the only one breaking the rule. You know what I mean? So uh he commenced to going back to jumping on the bed. I tell, hey man, come up out of there. Right? She comes, mind you, this is my house. She comes to his defense, right? Like, don't be talking to him like that. He don't gotta go nowhere. I'm like, what? I'm in my motherfucking house, man. What you mean he ain't gotta go nowhere? So now we arguing in front of the kids. Her son, my kids, right? This shit crazy, right? So she getting all aggressive, like, you know what I mean? And she all up in my face, like, you don't tell my son, right? I almost engaged, right? I almost engaged. You know what I'm saying? It was about to go down, right? But I held myself, you know what I'm saying? Held my composure. Like, okay, cool. I played off, but instantly I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, hell no. Ain't no fucking way, right? And the shit reminded me of my stepdad and my oldest brother, right? To some degree, right? But it just reminded me of my stepdad. And I was like, hell no, I ain't going out like that, right? So I started plotting on how I'm about to get away from this bitch, right? Because initially I was telling her and her son, like, man, you could lead in, right? If you don't want to follow the rules and you want to stick up for him now, y'all could just leave. You know what I'm saying? She got, oh, I ain't going nowhere. I'm like, damn, like, bitch be tripping. You know what I'm saying? You in somebody else's house and you telling them you ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, all right, man. So now I know I got to play this cool. You know what I'm saying? I got to play it cool. You know what I mean? So we get through the night. You know what I'm saying? Man, but soon as I got them about my house, you know what I'm saying? That was like the last time she brought him over. Now she came over a few times, you know what I mean? I still want to tag something, man. She was a cutie, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't dealing with that shit. And I was just like, damn, man. Like, I don't see how niggas be stepdads, right? And then I got to thinking about my stepdad and some of the stuff that he would go through and he would experience, right? Mainly with my older brother, right? Because he got with my mom. We was all fairly young, but And we was all cool for the most part. But at some point, my older brother, he just started to bug. And so it was like, man, whenever he would say something, man, you ain't my daddy. Man, you ain't this. Man, you ain't that. You know what I'm saying? And, he would, talk to your son, And my mom would just be on some like, don't even say nothing to him. Don't even say nothing to him. I just deal with him. And I'm like, so now that I'm older and I'm having my experience, I'm like, man, how you just don't say something? How you just don't say something, right? How you allow a female, like you the man, you supposed to be leading shit. How you just allow a female to tell you don't say nothing because that ain't your kid? You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, man, why in the fuck would anybody voluntarily put themselves in that type of situation? Right? And I know like not all situations end up like that, right? But the potential to be in a situation where you kind of like you render helpless. You know what I mean? You the outsider. No matter like what bills you pay, the food you provide, clothes, it don't matter what you providing, you is the outsider. You know what I'm saying? When you a stepdad. You know what I mean? And even though like, like I said, and don't get me wrong, like I love my step pops, right? He was cool as shit. And it would get to the point to where it's like, even when I start messing up, and he would come and try to tell me like, and he never came off aggressive. He was never like that, which I never understood why my brother was bucking up. It was like, nigga, don't say nothing to me. You ain't my daddy, right? I was like, shit, I'm cool having a nigga around. You know what I'm saying? You ain't my daddy, right? But, and he would always say whenever he would approach, like, hey, man, I'm not your dad, man, but check it out, man. Like, you doing this stuff, it could lead, right? Try to, like, tighten me up something, right? But never aggressive, never angry. You know what I'm saying? And it was the same thing for my brother, but, my brother wasn't trying to hear that shit, you know what I mean? And my mama stepped in. Right. And I'm just, so when I deal with my little situation, I was like, oh shit, I almost became like Pops. You know what I'm saying? I almost became like him. Right. Because when I got older, mind you, I love him to death. Right. But I started thinking back on like how shit was. I was like, damn, man, Pops was like, wait, going out like a sucker. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, I don't want to go out like no sucker, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go out like no sucker, man. But yeah, man, so I just seen it right from both ends. I'm like, damn, this really a lose-lose situation. And I'm like thinking like, man, what kind of nigga would become a stepdad? And like, why would you become a stepdad? You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm like, man, and I have my fair share of some snatch, right? And you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I ain't never had no snatch that good. That was just like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean? I want to stick around and take care of you and your kids and let them abuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Long as I get that box, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, right? Or is it that like you just don't know or believe in yourself? You don't have the confidence. Like you could find another one. Like, what would make you stick around? You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand it, man. And to this day, right? Even though I almost fucked up. You know what I'm saying? I almost fucked up, but I snapped out of it. You know what I'm saying? And if you out there, you know what I mean, and you thinking about being a stepdad, or you in a position to where you about to become a stepdad, or hell, you might even already be a stepdad, right? Man, run, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Fuck about there. You know what I'm saying? You about to take care of them kids, man. Them kids don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, shit, man, who knows? Cause we know, like, even with the whole empty nester thing, let's say you get with a chick, right? And, y'all together for a while, right? And, you stepdaddy and shit, right? So for her, there's an incentive to stay in a relationship with you, whether she want to be in there or not. And I know it was a few times my mom was like, man, like she didn't even want to be with him no more. And she verbalized that shit. You know what I'm saying? This nigga was still sticking around. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, right? Let's say you end up, you know what I mean, and time goes by, right? I say she has an incentive to be in this relationship, right? It's beneficial to her. And trust me, if you ain't beneficial player, bro, you out of there. You know what I mean? You out of there. You know how bitches be, man. I can do bad by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like a broad with kids, she not fucking with a nigga who ain't beneficial to her and her kids, right? So you a benefit, right? But dig this, right? Let's say, you know, time goes by, right? It could be one or two things. You come on hard times, you're no longer a benefit, right? She looking at you sideways, dog. You know what I'm saying? That's for one, right? Then for two, let's say y'all stay together all them years and shit gravy, right? When them kids become grown and they get out the house, bro, it's that empty nester syndrome. Mind you, you was a benefit, you know, with her raising them kids. She ain't got no kids to raise no more. You know what I'm saying? She want to go have fun again. You know what I mean? Let's not act like that ain't a real thing. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers get older and all of a sudden they want to go have fun again. They want to go back outside again. You know what I'm saying? It's ugly, man. You know what I mean? So just from my personal experience and from me growing up with a stepdad, I just don't see why anybody would do that, man. You know what I mean? So if you thinking about doing it, you know what I mean? You already in the process of doing it, or you full-fledged with it, man. You know what I mean? You might want to start planning your exit strategy. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck up out of there, man. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, that's all I got to say about that for now, right? I'm about to drop y'all off up here, man. Share, like, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all in a minute.